So we're going to talk about why men think that they know how to fight. And we're going to use the help of ChatGPT for some research right now. So the number one reason why ChatGPT says that men overestimate their fighting ability is the overconfidence bias. So the definition is a cognitive bias where individuals overestimate their abilities, knowledge, or control over situations. Application to fighting. So many men believe that they're better fighters than they actually are due to a lack of self-awareness, and overestimation of their skills. Okay, so that one is going to hurt a lot of people. Often due to a lack of self-awareness. What does that mean? This means that a lot of you guys have never been in a real fight. And if you have, maybe you've never gotten into a real fight with a real killer. You know, maybe you were bigger than the guy that you smashed in a street fight. Or maybe you were more athletic. Or maybe the guy that you fought was just a little pussy. Who knows? But regardless of what kind of experience you've had, the reason that most men have this mentality is because of a lack of self-awareness and overestimation of their fighting skills. The supporting research, according to ChatGPT, is Dr. Ozan Toy explains that overconfidence can stem from the upbringing, lack of experience, and phenomena of the Dunning-Kruger effect. What's that? Okay. So now ChatGPT is going to explain the Dunning-Kruger effect, a cognitive bias where individuals with low ability at a task overestimate their ability. Those with little to no training may believe they're competent fighters because they lack the metacognitive skills to assess their own abilities accurately. Studies have shown that individuals scoring in the bottom quartile of performance often overestimate their abilities significantly. Would you ever look at dancers on big stages and think that you could do all that stuff, all these flips, all these spins, all these footwork movement patterns and partner dancing? Like, I've never done any like salsa dancing or any like I come from a Spanish background. I come from a Colombian and Costa Rican background. So my family at parties there would be a lot of dancing and a lot of Spanish music. I also never learned Spanish growing up either. I never thought that I would just walk up on the dance floor and just know what I'm doing or be able to speak Spanish. I would never go into Colombia expecting that I would just know how to talk Spanish without ever practicing Spanish. So why is fighting so much different? Why is it so much different for people that have never done a fight think that they can just go out and just beat anyone's ass? It makes no sense, and the research goes directly against it. Now, the number 3 thing that ChatGPT says is hyper-masculinity and societal expectations. An exaggeration of male stereotypical behavior, emphasizing physical strength, aggression, and dominance. Societal norms often equate to masculinity with toughness and fighting prowess, leading men to overstate their fighting abilities to align with these expectations. Hypermasculinity is associated with the belief that violence is manly and can lead to overestimation of one's fighting capabilities. So here's something that I want a lot of people to understand just about masculinity as a whole, and I might be going a little bit off topic here. Aggression and physical strength and dominance are things that are associated with being a man. It doesn't mean hyper-violent, because you can overdo things as a man. You can be too violent. You can be too aggressive. You can be too, macho man. You can walk around like you're bigger than you are, like you're stronger than, like you're the toughest motherfucker out there. However, as a whole, those traits directly correlate with manliness and being a man. If you're a girl and you're hyper aggressive and dominant and you're super strong and competitive, I'm sorry to tell you, but those are masculine traits. It doesn't mean that a woman cannot possess traits that are masculine. It just makes you a more masculine woman, but those are masculine traits and they should not be mistaken with anything but that. Like I said, you can obviously overdo it, because when you overdo these things, you can often become a tyrant and be tyrannical. but it's 100% true. A lot of guys out there will associate these things with being masculine and being tough. And that's why they talk a huge game about their fighting ability. It's just a true statement. Number 4, illusory superiority. Better than average effect, it says. A cognitive bias where individuals overestimate their own qualities and abilities relative to others. Many men believe they're better fighters than the average person without any formal training or experience. Okay, so this is very similar to the first couple reasons, so I'm not going to get too into that. Media influence and misrepresentation. So movies, TV shows, and video games often depict unrealistic fighting scenarios where untrained individuals prevail through sheer willpower or luck. These portrayals can lead viewers to believe that fighting is intuitive and that they possess innate fighting skills without the need for training. So this is a big one. People watch a lot of Bruce Lee movies, a lot of Karate Kid, a lot of, I don't know, anything, Transformers, dude. You see robots fighting and then you leave the movie theaters thinking that you can take somebody's fucking head off. It's a very real thing. And that influence is not always a good thing because some people get very hyped up about things like that. They get themselves into sticky situations thinking that they know how to fight when they actually don't. So be careful going online So just be careful what you watch and be careful what you consume and the way that that's affecting your mentality. Just be careful. That's all I'm saying. Now, number 6, lack of real world experience. So without actual fighting or sparring experience, individuals have no baseline to assess their abilities accurately. I agree. The absence of experience can lead to inflated self-assessments of fighting prowess. I remember walking around high school just talking about how many fights I've been in and even girls that I've dated in the past. I would tell them stories about people whose asses I totally destroyed, towns I've went to and gotten into street fights with dangerous big guys and knocked them out and left them for dead, and just crazy made up stories. And now looking back, I just think it was because of my lack of experience of this stuff. I didn't realize how stupid all that stuff sounded when I was saying it. And I learned through actual training and discipline that none of this stuff is feasible. Number 7, self-serving bias. The tendency to attribute successes to internal factors and failures to external ones. Many men recall past confrontations where they won or avoided harm and attribute it to their skill while dismissing losses or close calls as flukes to external circumstances. The absent self-serving bias helps individuals maintain self-esteem by distorting reality in their favor. I remember one time I got into a fight with this kid in high school, and this is not one of those street fighting scenarios. This is an actual fight that happened in school. I remember I was throwing cheese sticks. I had like 3 cheese sticks in my hand. I was throwing cheese sticks across the commons area. It's like the main area where all the students would hang out in the high school. First thing in the morning, people would be grabbing breakfast and coffee. And my friend Jose was standing with a group of my friends. I was throwing cheese sticks at him. And I remember one of the cheese sticks hit this kid on the shoulder. It just brushed his shoulder really quick. And he was looking around for who threw that cheese stick, and a couple people pointed at me, and I didn't expect anything to come of it, but let me tell you, the kid was actually pretty angry, pretty stuck up about that. He came into my face about this close. He was a little taller than me, and I remember he said to me, "Did you just throw something at me?" And I remember I had a bagel that morning. They served bacon, egg, and cheese at the little kiosk thing where you could buy breakfast and coffee. I had it open because I already started taking bites out of it. I was standing there eating my bagel. So I had it in my hand. I threw it right up at this kid's face and just threw it at his face. So he then threw a punch at me. I ducked under that punch and I did kind of like a blast double. And then he tried to go belly down. So I got on top of him and then I put him in a little chokehold. And then I remember it got separated. And teachers grabbed me from off the kid. They separated him. There was a huge crowd around, and I had to go to the nurse's office because I had just got a cartilage piercing in my ear. And it wasn't fully healed. That cartilage piercing I had about for 2, maybe 3 weeks. I was still cleaning it every morning, and it got knocked out in that fight. It landed on the floor somewhere. I don't even remember if I found the earring or not, but I remember my ear was bleeding, and I had blood everywhere from my ear bleeding because the earring fell off. It got ripped out a little bit, and it was bleeding profusely. So I had to go to the nurse's office before they sent me to the office and the principals and gave me a couple days suspension from school. So how this relates with the self-serving bias is because even though I took the kid down, he didn't punch me, I got on top of him when he was belly down, the whole school saw that. But the whole school also saw that my ear was bleeding, and I remember this kid was walking around telling everybody at school that he won that fight and that he beat the shit out of me. Oh, did you see him bleeding? You know? And that really pissed me off at the time, but now looking back, it really doesn't matter. But that's some of the self-serving bias that people will do. Because he didn't really win the fight. None of us really got hurt. I wasn't throwing punches at him. I wasn't beating him up. That's not what I'm saying. But I didn't get harmed in that scenario. And he was making it seem like to the whole school that he had harmed me and he had won that fight. And I remember he was a little younger than me, so people were making fun of me, saying the underclassmen beat me up. There was no video of this fight, so nobody could really say for sure what happened. But I remember it clearly, because I came out of that fight unscathed. And that's some of the self-serving bias that people will use in these kind of scenarios. So ChatGPT, I agree with you. Number 8, evolutionary psychology and formidability assessment. Humans have evolved mechanisms to assess the fighting ability of others based on physical cues like size and facial features. Application to fighting. Many men may overestimate their own formidability based on these cues, leading to an inflated self-sense of fighting ability. Studies suggest that humans can predict fighting outcomes based on facial cues, but the assessments are not always accurate. So I think a lot of these cues could attribute to things like eye contact and the amount of confidence that you carry yourself and the amount of muscle mass that you have on your body, how ripped you are, maybe. And these are all signs that you may be a threat to somebody or you may be athletic or strong, but it's not a real sign that you actually know how to fight. I've met some pretty big, strong looking dudes out there who are not actually strong, who don't actually know how to fight. I've met some pretty confident dudes out there who don't actually know how to fight. So it's just the reality of human nature, these things. So in conclusion, understanding these psychological biases and societal influence can help individuals develop a more accurate self-assessment of their fighting abilities, encouraging formal training and self-awareness. And self-awareness can bridge the gap between perceived and actual competence. And I agree with ChatGPT there, because if you've done any form of discipline or fighting, you know that competence builds confidence. You know that going out there and doing that thing over and over again and getting better at it and learning the ins and outs of it. Like, I remember one time my coach taught me to throw a lead 2. I don't know if this is what everybody considers a lead 2, but my lead 2 is when I pop my shoulder out. I pop my shoulder out and I hold it there for a second. I get the reaction out of the guy. Most of the time when you pop your shoulder like that, the guy's hands are going to go up. The guy's going to tense up a little bit. He might move back. He might even do something else. But depending on what he does, after you pop that, you can hold it out for a second and then pop that lead 2. So it kind of looks like this. I'm bouncing around, feinting, and then I pop that a couple times. I see your reaction. Jab, pop, boom. And now I knock you out. How that relates is I didn't train that movement and then just start hitting people with it on my first try. In fact, it took me a long time to learn how to apply these techniques like the lead 2 or the pull counter 2 or a lead hook. All these movements require time and training, and this is something that you only learn by actually going out there and doing that thing. So I encourage you, if you are interested in fighting and you want to learn, get out there and start doing it. Go join a gym. I really, really encourage you, because it's only going to make you better as a man. So if you like videos like this and you want to see more of them, then like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.